KONSENSUS NETWORK.
Right, we're recording, Remy. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And it's been a long time in the making and finally get to make it happen. And sorry I had to push it back 30 minutes, but as you know, I had some car problems and had to speak with a mechanic and do all that fun stuff. But anyway, life sometimes gets in the way, right? Lauren, do you want to fire away with a question for Remy?
Yeah, so I don't really have any questions for you except for what's your favorite thing about Bitcoin?
That's a tough question. Okay, I guess my favorite thing about Bitcoin is Satoshi, obviously, because it's from a storytelling point of view, it's gold, that person or this group of people that create a revolutionary technology and then just vanish. It's, I don't know. It's magic. Yeah.
It is magic and it's real life. We're living through it right now, and as a storyteller, as you are, to be able to dive into that and put your creative work towards it and create what you did create with the Satoshi Mystery series, which you won an award for at the Poland Bitcoin Film Fest, right?
Yeah, exactly. In Warsaw, a few months ago. Yeah.
Right. We'll get into all of that and why you did it and how you created it. But meanwhile, Lauren, do you want to say goodbye?
Yeah, thank you.
Bye, Lauren. And can I ask you a question too?
Actually, yeah, sure.
What is your favorite thing about Bitcoin?
I say this all the time. My favorite thing about Bitcoin are the Bitcoiners, because they're usually just so fun and interesting.
Except this one, right?
Yeah, except that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just the guy that's boring, but every time we go to a conference, it's like, oh, right. These guys are all so fun. They're all so brilliant. They're all so smart. They're all so intellectual. What? You mean all the people that I am like because we talk about the same thing and act in the same way? Yeah, no, but you're just a dad, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
All right, mate. So let's, before we talk about the series, the Satoshi Mystery, let's find out a little bit about yourself and what you were doing to lead yourself up to not only finding Bitcoin, but then coming to that realization that this is the best way that you can add value to the space. So what were you doing pre-Bitcoin? What did that life look like?
I was working as a production manager for a long time. I always wanted to work in, the documentary field. And so as soon as I graduated, I got a job in a production company in Paris. And I worked on TV shows and documentaries and things like that, on fiction features also as well. And I did that for a few years because I thought that it would help me get a better understanding of the production field. How do you sell an idea? How do you make it work? How do you find the funding and everything? And so it was a really cool time because I got to go in several countries to go with shooting teams and everything. And so at one point, I wanted to be a director. So I wanted to make my films, my documentaries. And so in 2017, I decided to stop production and to become a filmmaker. So I started making 2 documentaries in Africa for a TV show, which is called Rendezvous. but it's not in the romantic way, the English romantic rendezvous word. It's more like let's meet in Namibia, let's meet in Ghana. And so I went there, and I started doing my own documentaries, and it was really fun, and it was really great. So at this point, I had made two documentaries, and I was thinking about the next one. And one of my friends kept talking about Bitcoin. I think it often starts like this. You have this really stubborn friend who just talk about Bitcoin. And so one day I took him seriously, and I started to research this thing. At first I thought it was just like a video game currency, I didn't really seize the point. But then just reading about it and learning about it, I started to realize that it was really, an achievement. Because what really clicked for me is the peer-to-peer aspect of things, and the fact that someone actually achieved digital scarcity. And I didn't think at the time that it was something that could be possible ever. And so I was really amazed by this. And the second thing that really amazed me was that we didn't know who created this. And we were in the age of, social networks and digital narcissism. And I was like, how is this possible? How can it be? And so I dived into this, and really quickly I started to think about a documentary that would mingle the workings of Bitcoin and the identity, the pseudonymity of Satoshi Nakamoto. I thought that it could be entertaining to have some kind of investigation about who that Satoshi person could be, and to have on each episode or each suspect some aspect of Bitcoin, a technical aspect or an economical aspect. Or so I started to write a synopsis. And then I went looking for a production company to go with me on this project. And so we are in 2018, and through a friend, I get in touch with a production company which is named Eco. The producer is Igal Cohen, and he immediately, loves the idea. So he had done some work with the European TV channel Arte. And so we went to see them.
What was he a Bitcoiner himself, or was he just enthralled by the story?
He was, no, he was not a Bitcoiner.
Okay.
I don't think he is a Bitcoiner.
Even now?
Yeah, even now.
Oh, man.
But he was really interested in the phenomenon, 2017, 2018, everybody was talking about Bitcoin. It reached $20,000 or so. And it was everywhere on the news. So the fact that everybody was talking about it, and the kind of, mysterious figure behind it, I think that's really interested him. And so we had a meeting with Arte, and believe it or not, it was the 10th year anniversary of the white paper publication. So
that's the day you had the meeting?
Yeah. The first meeting.
Man. I love all of these weird little coincidences. Yeah. And so with Satoshi, right? If you ever listened to this interview and found out that had that meeting on that 10th anniversary. Okay, go ahead. So 10th anniversary, you're set down in the office, and this is make or break, right? Are they going to fund the project and run with it or not?
Yeah, it was, we had a first discussion. We had several conversations in the space of a year and a half, I think. So they didn't greenlight the project right away. They wanted to, to make back and forth in the writing process was quite long. And I had some help from another documentary writer, which is named Julien Goetz. He had worked on several tech documentaries, and so we got back to work, and we wrote and we perfected the project. And then COVID happened. So everybody was, just on pause. So that was a bit frustrating, but okay. In the middle of the COVID pandemic, we were greenlighted. So it was, I think, March 2020, I think. And it was just the best feeling ever. So we had to wait for COVID, to pass a little. And then we started the production at the end of 2020, and the series got made in 2021. So from December 2020 to August 2021, we shot the interviews, we edited it, and everything. Yeah,
Okay. I have some questions around the interviews, because I couldn't work out whether you actually filmed the interviews right there in person, or whether you were pulling from other interviews that were just available online. I mean, the way you did it was pretty interesting, and I couldn't figure it out. But I mean, like Andreas, for example, Antonopoulos. I mean, we actually sat there in front of him interviewing him, or is that pulled clips from some of his other interviews?
No, I interviewed him, but it was online because it was still, COVID was still, there was travel restrictions. So there are a few interviews that we had to make online. So Andreas, Dan Held, and Amity Utawa. I think Philip Salter also from Genesis Mining.
Phil Zimmerman.
So no, Phil Zimmerman. We made the trip to the Netherlands to sit with him. It was really great. It's really great memory. So we decided, because of the travel restriction, to have a kind of strange interview. How can I say this? Setup.
Yeah.
So the interviews were filmed in real life, but I was doing the interview through computers.
Okay, and it works really, really well. It's yeah, it does. For example, you got Dan Held sitting there talking into the computer, but obviously there's a camera set up filming him, and sometimes it switches from that shot back to the computer. And when he's talking to the computer, it feels as though he's talking directly to you. Andreas obviously feels like he's talking directly to you all the time.
Yeah.
Then you have Yorick in Paris, I'm assuming, in a classic, beautiful, it looks like an old Parisian brasserie or something. And he's such a legend within the French community. And this is what I like as well. I live in France. I've met all the French maximalists in Biarritz, where I met you a few times. And to see those faces pop up as well is very meaningful. And then, of course, you have they're conducting the interview in French, but I'm watching the whole thing in English, and then the French subtitles pop up, and you have What other languages have you been able to upload and share the documentary in?
On Arte, you mean?
Yes.
There was, I think, 5 languages: Spanish, Italian, maybe Polish, German, English, French. So 6. And I think it has been, also sold to other countries, but I don't know exactly. But yeah,
Right.
it was great to.
And I wanted to ask about the funding and getting this out to people, because I was just chatting with Pierre Corbin in Prague, a mutual friend of ours and somebody that was very influential in setting up the Bitcoin Film Fest, which was a great success. And I'm so sad I couldn't make it out there, but I hope to get there for next time.
Year. Yeah.
I was having a conversation with him and the Muzzman from Lightning Ventures about how do you get films funded? How do you get these projects funded? The production and everything, the costs are very high. But investors aren't looking for that. Venture capital money is not looking to fund a film because there is no return on investment. And the venture capital guys are looking to invest in Bitcoin companies that are building on or off ramps or working on Lightning and all of that good stuff. And 100% we need all that built out. And that's where you're going to find the return on investment.
Yeah.
Me back in a film, or Ego Death back in a film, or 1031 back in a film, that's just you're literally writing a check to see no return on investment. So it's a passion project.
Yeah.
So how did you go about finding that funding? And Arte is huge, right? They've got a big reach and they can put it out in as many different languages. And what is that magic sauce? And how can someone who's listening to this that wants to make a film or a documentary perhaps follow in your footsteps?
So in Europe and especially in France, we have this awesome system where so broadcasters give some funds, and we also have a lot of help and funding from the Cinema National Center, the CNC. And then also the French region can give some funding. So you have to convince all of these entities that your project is going to be great and that they should invest in it. Also because it gives some work to technicians and artists in France and in the region. So I live in Nantes. I'm not in Paris. And so the region here is Loire-Atlantique, and they have several fundings for movies and documentaries. So you have a funding to write, and then you have a production funding. And so Arte didn't give the whole budget. You have to have some fundings to complete the budget. So, as I said, you have the CNC, you have the region. And I think we also got some fundings from Belgium, because we adapted the series into a 52 documentary, more, kind of classical documentary for TV. So it's not a series, it's not Satoshi speaking, and it's more, classical. And so Igal Cohen from ECO was able to get all this funding to make the project. And obviously it's an expensive project, because you have animated sequences, you have an actor that is doing Satoshi's voice. I'm not saying he was the most expensive, thing on the series, but we wanted to make something really nice and ambitious. And so we needed the right funding. So, once we got the green light from Arte, it was pretty easy to get the other sources of funding.
Right. So once people know that you're going to be released on Arte across different languages, different regions, that's the key. Because then that's a whole different pitch. But, we have the sign off from this channel that is going to go out there and show this, to put this in front of millions of people's eyes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But being in Warsaw a few months ago, I realized that most of the filmmakers there, the Bitcoin filmmakers, are doing things by themselves, and it's really amazing. I really admire them for having the guts to do this. But I think I couldn't. As I said before, I come from the more classical path, the production path. And so I really need to be in this system for two reasons. The first one is I want the film to be viewed by as many viewers as possible. So, getting an entity like Arte from the beginning is really great, because that there is going to be an audience for it. So it's not like you make a film and you put it on YouTube and you don't really know, what would be its reach. So the first thing is this, and obviously it's more secure. You have you can pay for things, you can pay for technicians, you can so you're not running after fundings when you are doing the documentary. So you have the budget, and you can just think about the film and just do it. And the second thing that is really important to me is that I really need to have discussions with my producer, with Arte, with everybody involved on the movie, because it's the only way for me to have a new perspectives on the project, and new ideas and things like that. I think I really like to listen to the people that are involved in such a project, because I think it makes a better project, a richer project. I think if I was alone, I would make a lot of mistakes. And so that's the true reason. I don't think I would be really capable of doing a film on my own. I would be too insecure, and maybe the film wouldn't be that great in the end.
I love the fact as well that you can lean on state budget, essentially, to get yourself running, right? Yeah. Part of this film has been state sponsored, i.e. the government are paying you to educate everybody about Bitcoin.
But that was not, the main objective. It's not about adoption. It's not about orange peeling anyone. It's just, you have this digital revolution. You have this phenomenon, and you want to document it now, So, yeah.
So for anybody out there listening, get down to your local council office, or I don't know, arts. What would these ministries be called? Yeah, something like that. Appreciation for the arts, or whatever. There was always some little niche category that you could go and apply to, or even have a meeting with and explain the project. And like I'm trying to explain a critical moment in history where cryptography has, come to this point that we can start protecting our freedoms. That's a huge thing to sell and you want to document it, and you have the backing of not only Well, you would have the backing of investors because even a complete pleb with zero backing can list on Geyser Fund.
Yeah, sure.
And go in and use that as I've already crowdsourced X amount. So this is going to start happening.
Yeah.
How much are you willing to help me with this? And, there's conversations to be had there, right? And having that access, the Trojan horse is a beautiful Trojan horse. It really is.
But, it was not just about Bitcoin. It was a way to talk about privacy in the digital era, and
that's the first part of the series, right?
Yeah.
The Cypherpunks.
Yeah.
And you even, you quote the Cypherpunk manifesto by Eric Hughes, and you just nail there like Cypherpunks write code. And then a few other paragraphs from the manifesto and build it all up from there. And for people that are in Bitcoin because of number go up, just watching the first part, that little 13-minute snippet takes you back in time. Well, it was in the mid-90s that they were having the privacy battles, wasn't it? Takes you back in time to that era and really builds up on the foundation of this isn't a get-rich-quick scheme.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? There's a bigger story going on here, and that's how it all starts.
Yeah, a story that you need to understand to understand why Bitcoin even exists, And so I think that's also what interested Arte and Igal and everyone involved on the project. It's a series about the internet, really, what are the threats? What is it changing in our lives? And the story of Satoshi is deeply linked to this also as well, because obviously that's a person that wanted to be private and to not be out there. And everything was interlinked. And so, we begin on the Cypherpunks, which is, I think, a really important movement, and that is more than ever important, because every aspect of our lives are being digitized, and they saw 25 years ago that it was going to be an issue, and they were coding to protect privacies and everything, and so we are seeing today with the digital revolution and the improvements, the technological improvements, that everything is possible. You have cameras everywhere. You have software that can ID you in the blink of an eye. I think they were quite visionary, and so it's also something that was interesting to us, to just talk about this to a large audience. I mean, it's not just about Bitcoin. It's about our digital lives and our lives to.
And you'd think this would resonate with especially French people, who like to believe and espouse that they're all about freedom, equality, and liberty, the three slogan words that are written above every schoolhouse. Do you feel you actually live under that, and you feel that current running strong amongst your fellow Frenchmen?
That's a complicated question. I think we still have a long way to go, and I think a lot of people are not aware of, what is really at stake. During the series, I shut down my Facebook account, my WhatsApp, Instagram, whatever account, because of Cambridge Analytica and every other, thing about Facebook. And around me, everyone still have a Facebook account, and I don't think a lot of people or enough people are aware of these issues that are really important. And I am under the impression that if you have, they think that if you have nothing to hide, you don't need, such tools like PGP, Tor, Bitcoin, or whatever. And there is a lack of awareness about these issues right now. Yeah.
And have you had any feedback from people that have watched the film that have suddenly changed their mind on that aspect?
No, maybe they have changed their mind a little, but they didn't change their habits, or maybe I'm not aware. But anyway, the series had a lot of impact because everyone has heard about Bitcoin, and a lot of people don't understand what it is and where it comes from. And so we had a large audience. I was really pleased with the numbers. I didn't expect that. I thought it was, some kind of niche topic, but actually, and we had some luck because the series was published just when Bitcoin hit an all-time high in 2021. It was November 2021, and Bitcoin was at almost $60,000, and it was everywhere. So I think we surfed that wave, and it was cool.
Do you get any figures from Arte? Like they know how many people have watched it?
The last figures that I have are from a few months ago, and it was more than 5 million viewers across platform and across countries. So yeah, it was quite cool. And last year also the DW, which is a German channel, broadcasted the series. They edited it a little, and then they broadcasted it. And I think on their YouTube, the numbers were quite high. It was almost 1.5 million or something in a few days. So there is really a need for that story to be told and to be broadcasted and to circulate. So a lot of people are really eager to understand what it is. How come a lot of people are talking about it, using it, and yeah, so yeah, the numbers were quite great.
And I know there's more projects coming, and I'm looking forward to them. Corey Tuchek out in the US, he was in Miami pulling Bitcoiners aside and filming them documentary style, just sat down head to head, asking questions. And his documentary is going to be called Searching for Satoshi.
Oh,
so I'm
cool.
looking for that one to drop. But the same kind of motivation that you had, like the intrigue behind it, this story, like is so mythical and mystical and magical. Yeah. And like as a creative, you can't not explore that,
Exactly.
It is science fiction.
Yeah. Yeah.
That we're living. But so you can take that core story and take it wherever you want. People have, I remember I had Cypher Diaries on the podcast about 2.5 years ago, and he wrote that comic strip about Satoshi being from the future. And not only did he do that, he hid a treasure hunt in there as well with 1 Bitcoin. And he came on the podcast in complete character, as if he was talking to us from the future and was talking to the kids about the future, and they were asking him questions. If no one's ever listened to that, just look for Cypher Diaries on my podcast feed, and you'll go back and listen to it because it's really fun. The way people are thinking about, what is this really? Is it just, I mean, and in your series, the way you unfold the story, it's a dude, person, let's say person. I think we all default. I still think it is a dude. I think it's a guy that built on he stood on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah.
He put these pieces together. And as you hint to, and as many people have spoken about before, he had all of this ready to go and was either hesitating because he figured out the impact of this is like massive, or he was waiting for that key moment to deliver the message. And that key moment was, of course, the unraveling of the financial global crisis. You can't stop thinking about what was going through his mind.
Yeah.
And what would have happened if he chickened out? What if he didn't release it?
I think someone else would have. Don't you think? Maybe a few months, a few years later, but it was an idea that which time had come,
Yeah.
I think. But yeah, a lot of things could have happened, It could have never catched up. Something could have been broken. And there was obviously some flaws. And that's really that's really fascinating, because it's like a spark that just turned into this giant fire. And it was not written in advance, so the first early years of Bitcoin are really interesting. 2009, 2010, 2011, it's really, it's fragile. And so you have a story to tell, it's something that can be crushed really easily, and that survived somehow. So yeah, that's really fascinating. And the figure of Satoshi is also quite amazing when you think about it. So that's why we decided to put animation in the series, because we wanted to feature this figure in an imaginary way, So we started at the kind of archetypal character we all have. So a man in his 50s or 60s, living alone in a big city, being a geek, a computer, nerd, alone, coding in the night. And then you can just go everywhere. You can deconstruct this figure, and maybe it's someone from the future, maybe it's an AI, maybe it's probably a group of people, so a group of persons. So that's why in the last episode we just showed that maybe Satoshi was so good that they cover their tracks, and just that's amazing when you think about it. We don't know anything about this person, or really little, and the things we know we can't trust really. The way he speaks, the way he writes, could it be a kind of a show, a made up style? I don't know. So all we have is Bitcoin and the Bitcoin blockchain, and the message he put in there, and the writings on Bitcoin Talk, and that's it. It's really troubling.
When I was going to ask you about that. How did making this film when you were really down in the weeds of doing it and doing the interviews and doing the editing and cutting out the stuff, because that's obviously very hard. You're trying to make something digestible, but you've got so much incredible information there that just has to hit the cutting room floor. You must have been going on a roller coaster ride of emotions, reaching your own conclusions, having new epiphanies, waking up at 3 a.m. like, oh my God, how was it rewiring your mind going through that, considering you'd already been in the rabbit hole? You were obviously finding new depths.
Yeah, that was a fun time, fortunately, I had made a precise plan, of the series. So I had my Excel sheets, and everything was really, well ordered. But as you said, there was a lot of things that I needed to edit out. And luckily for me, my editor, Antoine Carnino, so in the editing room, we were two, Antoine and I, and he was not a Bitcoiner at all. So every time he didn't understand something, we had to, go back and work again to make it better. And so I think that's, that's what I said earlier. I really need the input of everyone working on a project, because if he had not been there, I think something would have been too complicated, or I would have gone into a wrong path or something. So, but the most difficult part of making the series, I think, was writing Satoshi's voiceover, because at first I was really I was a bit reluctant to allow myself to write in Satoshi's voice. I was like, but who are you? You
Right.
can't do that. But then I realized that it was a fictional character. So this just freed me. And I dived into what he wrote, and also the Cypherpunk manifesto, the crypto anarchist manifesto, and I took things from there. Also some of Zimmerman's text. He has a beautiful text, which is why I wrote PGP, which is kind of a manifesto as well. And so I took some, ideas in there, and I started building Satoshi's voice. But then, after 2011, you don't have any trace or any writing from Satoshi. So that was a bit complicated, How would he have seen all the altcoins? How would he have seen the blockchain madness, the state CBDCs? Everything. What would he have think about that? So I struggled a bit. Luckily, I had the help of another writer, which is called Leslie Menahem, which is kind of who is kind of specialized in writing shows for the radio, where you put yourself in someone's shoes and you tell the story from their perspective. So it really helped me build Satoshi's voice and their narrative arc. Yeah. And so, but that was really difficult. I think we made like 15 versions of the voiceover, and the guys from Arte were also really, they pushed us to go and make the best voiceover we could. So that was great and at the same time really a bit stressful. Yeah, because I wanted to make something good, So yeah,
of course. And well, it clearly turned out to be good because you did win. Tell us about the film festival. What went down in Poland? What can you share with us?
I was just there on the last day, so I saw a few of the movies that were broadcasted that day, screened that day, and it was really great. And it was really cool to finally meet some of the filmmakers that I had been following on Twitter or anyway online, and yeah, it was cool to share our experiences and our point of views about filmmaking and Bitcoin and everything. So that was really nice. And the team is so Pierre Corbin and Tomek, who organized things, as well as Ada and a few others. That's such a great team. So it was really nice to be there and to be able to screen the film to an international audience, because I've made a few screenings in France, but not in a foreign country. So it was really cool experience, to be there and to hear the laughs in the theater and everything. So, and the discussion afterwards was really interesting as well.
So they'd do it that way. They'd show a film or part of a film, and then have like the Q&A with the director or the producer with the people in the crowd. Is that how it's worked?
Yeah, basically, yeah. They show the movie, and then there is a panel, and then Q&A with the audience.
You can get Bitcoiners to sit down and watch a whole movie without talking with each other. I can't see it. This is amazing.
No. But we are talking about really good films,
Right.
So no, it was really, and I think there were a lot of no coiners as well. So people just interested in Bitcoin and filmmaking and whatnot. But yeah, it was like a real cinema screening. Everybody was quiet and attentive. I don't know if it's a word. But some people were on their phone, obviously, because we are digital now. So, but no, I wish I could have been there at the beginning of the festival, because a lot of the filmmakers and of the movies were really interesting, and I wish I could have been there to witness the panel and to meet people earlier.
And what was the awards that were given out? Were there different categories and who won what? And
I think there was 2 categories. There was number of votes on Geyser. I think that's
right. I remember they were running that on Twitter. People could vote for. Right. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. By sending Satoshis.
Yes.
So number of votes and number of voters, I think, which was the second prize. And it's if I recall, it's a human bee that won this prize. I don't know if there was a third prize. I don't remember, but yeah, number of votes and number of voters. Yeah.
And what was your award then?
Oh, it was a really cool Satoshi bust.
Like an Oscar type thing?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. But a bit more heavy, I think. It's a bit big. And it's I think they were inspired by this Lithuanian statue of Satoshi.
Mm.
Do you know the one?
Yes, the beautiful gold statue of
Yeah, with someone in
a hoodie and
yeah, exactly. And so that's what the trophy looks like, and a few sats as well.
Awesome. Yeah. So, question being, what are you working on now?
That's a great question. I'm working on a few other documentaries. Just one of them is related to Bitcoin. I'm working on documentary about the mining industry. I'm really interested in this. I think a lot of people have questions about this and misconceptions as well. So I'm writing something and we are looking for funding. So I have a producer here in Nantes, and he is looking for, a broadcaster to fund this. Because I think that the Bitcoin mining industry is not just about Bitcoin. It's also about, obviously, the power of energy, of currencies, as kind of geostrategical resources. And Bitcoin is in the middle of this. We have seen with the war in Ukraine and the conflict that energy and currencies were tools. And so I think that people are more aware of that, and that Bitcoin is obviously playing a more and more important role as a powerful asset. We are seeing countries adopting it, countries mining it, and so I think it's really important to document the state of mining, and to go in, why does proof of work exist? How does it work? And who is mining? What are the companies? Or why a country would be mining, etc., etc. So I have seen that someone is working also on a mining documentary, which is called Dirty Coin, I think, on Twitter. But I'm hoping we don't have the same idea about things. So yeah, I'm working on this, and I have a few other projects. More, they are related to technology and computer sciences and things like that. But I think it's important to not, I don't want to be trapped into the Bitcoin topics. I want to be able to make documentaries about other subjects.
Well, yeah, you still have a fiat job to mine fiat with, I suppose. The appetite is strong, but it's not, completely there yet to be able to just live purely on releasing Bitcoin documentaries. I would love for, oh man, it'd be awesome if you could get Greenpeace to fund you in some way.
Yeah.
Or at least get that artist on as part of the documentary and have him interviewed about
the one that made the sculpture.
Yeah, the skull.
Yeah,
skull of Satoshi.
Yeah.
And how that whole thing is completely backfired. Like Greenpeace's ridiculous.
That's what I like about this community, is that everything can become a meme, in a fraction of a second, and so that's what happened. And you have this mythology about Satoshi, but you have also all of these stories gravitating around Bitcoin, and so you have the Laszlo Wozniaks and his pizzas. You have the guy who is looking for his hard drive in somewhere in England or in Wales, I don't remember. But so you have all these stories that are just waiting to be told.
That's James Howells, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
It's in Wales. I'm pretty sure the landfill where that hard drive or disk, whatever it is that he unfortunately threw away, is. There's still so much to come from that story, because he's still pursuing the opportunity of going in there and finding it. And that will be the most incredible treasure hunt ever known and documented in real time. Imagine if we could actually have a documentary of like a real pirate treasure hunt from hundreds of years ago, somewhere out in the Caribbean, because it captures everybody's imagination. I mean, that's why those films are so interesting to people, right? Pirates of the Caribbean, God knows how many. We could literally watch this thing unfold. And I really hope that he does get the, it's amazing to me that you need to beg a council for the opportunity to go in and just look for something that could unearth God knows how much value. That in itself is a documentary just screaming to be made. If it's not being made already, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And there are so many Bitcoins that are lost or just, out there. And it's so many stories to tell. And do you know the YouTube videos where people are trying to break into devices like a hardware wallet or things like that? Because they have lost the PIN or they have lost the private key or something, and it's hypnotizing. You're with them. The videos are like 2 hours long, and you're just seeing a guy just plugging cable to a ledger or a tracer or anything, and you just, oh come on! I hope he's gonna find this. I hope he's going to crack the device, and it's it's really compelling, from a storytelling point of view. So I think there is so much to do. And I would encourage every filmmaker to get interested in Bitcoin and everything that is around it,
Exactly. And that is the call to action, right? Like you said, there's somebody out there already had the same kind of idea as you and is already putting their brain power and they're deploying their skill set to making a project that's going to be very similar to yours, but more. We need more. Exactly. I mean, if theirs reaches 5 million eyeballs and your reach is a different 5 million eyeballs, then perfect. We need to all keep working. That's what I say to people all the time. There aren't enough Bitcoin podcasts. Like people said, oh, there's too many. I'm drowning in content. Like, no, you're not, man. Like you might be, but we still need that one that is going to reach this niche group of people that might get 1,000 listeners per episode. That's another 1,000 people. We've got to keep going. Writing a book, a kid's book, or whatever. Or this book, like a teenage book, would be so perfect. I don't think there are many, if any, out there where like you've taken the idea, the mystery of Satoshi and written in such a way to a teen audience that's just going to completely light up their intellect. We've got the books like Goodnight Bitcoin, which Scott and Mallory have written at Shamory. Perfect. Just to have like a little 1 to 3 year old on your lap, just flicking through that. We need more of those.
Yeah. But the thing is, you need also to have this thing that would catch the eye of a no-coiner, this entertaining way of telling a story or a fun fact, that is your angle to the subject, because often people are saying that it's just too complicated. It's not, they just give up after a few minutes. So I think the difficult thing is finding this key to open the door. And that's what I try to do with the animation. With the Eagle, we were really lucky to find Victorien Obino, which is the illustrator who makes the animated sequences. And he has a style that just fits perfectly with what we wanted to make, So I think that alone is what brought a lot of viewers. They saw pictures or some short videos of the animated sequences, and they just went to see the series. So,
just purely because of the style of animation. Is the style of animation they find interesting and aesthetically pleasing and want to go learn more about it. If any of the plebs out there are listening and are interested in adding some value to you in some way with their skill set, maybe they're already working in TV, audio, whatever. What would you find the most valuable or the most helpful at this point if somebody was just to volunteer a bit of their time and expertise?
I think what would be the most interesting is someone who has the technical capabilities to understand the code and to maybe make animation, or I don't know, to interpret it, because it's what I'm lacking actually. I'm not a coder. I have some understanding of things, but someone like I don't know if you know the Twitter account Anatomy of Bitcoin.
I do.
It's someone that makes great animated sequences from the blockchain, the Bitcoin blockchain, or the code. And we spoke a little on Twitter, and I think his work is really interesting, and I think it could add a lot of value to documentaries out there or things like that. But I don't know. I'm always I'm always interested in talking with Bitcoiners and coders and just people in the space. It's everybody has so many stories to tell. That's why I like events like Surfing Bitcoin or Warsaw, because you meet people and it's always, you can talk for hours and
exactly
never get bored.
So never get bored. Never. Yeah. All right. So I'll ask you the final question. And that is, if you had just one last orange pill to give to somebody, who would you give that to and why?
Oh, I need to think about it a little. One last orange pill. Whoa. I think I would choose a well-known filmmaker making sci-fi, because I think that Bitcoin is not enough used in sci-fi movies. And it could, I mean, it's realistic to imagine that Bitcoin will still be there in 50 years, 100 years, 1,000 years. And I would really like to watch a movie where Bitcoin is there, but it's not the center of the story, but it's a tool that characters use. And I think I would probably do something like that. I don't know. Who would you give it to?
You turned the question back around on me. Yeah, I love it. I've said I need to think again actually and update my answer, because the person I've been answering every time to this is Greta, just because. Just because of the damage she's done to so many kids aged like that age group, 13 to 18, for example, who are full of doubt, fear, nihilism, and making really bad life decisions on shockingly bad advice and data and an agenda. The damage she's done to those poor people is really disgusting. So I'd love to see her orange pilled and turn around that damage and free those poor people from their own dystopic visions of the future, so that they can experience the hope that we see, and the optimism that we have, and the optimism that my kids see and have, because and we've all just got back from BTC Prague at time of recording, myself and two of my kids, and we're still just riding that wave of elation of just being around the most incredibly optimistic doers, people that are, doing something to build the future and see the future and see what we see. And it's not just number go up, and it's not just blind worship of, this medium of exchange. It is the much deeper ramifications, of what societal change that this technology is going to bring, which goes back again to your first 11, 12 minute start of that series. If you feel that, if you go to one of these conferences and feel that, you can go back and watch just that thing and it starts here. It's not purely about Bitcoin. It is about so much more. And that's what it's addictive. It's addictive when you have that feeling and you want other people to have it. And that's why you get driven to start a podcast, randomly at the age of 43. I mean, who am I to start? You have to battle that imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And that's what I hope people, I know, I see the change. I saw the change in so many people sitting in the audience, actually, and people walking out, and they can't stop talking. And you see that look on someone's face when all of the epiphanies are dropping. Their eyes look different. They look different. They hold themselves differently. They talk differently. This is what is so, what's the word I'm looking for? Addictive, I suppose, in the Bitcoin space. That's why I would like to see someone like Greta, who has that audience, that demographic, that age group, who she's damaged, switch that around.
Okay.
But I don't see it happening. Let's put it that way. We can do that work, and that's what we're here to do, and that's what your films do, and that's what other people's YouTube channels do, and books and whatever else. So if you're listening, plebs, always the call to action is to get off your butts and do that thing that has been nagging at you in the back of your head to go create. Just go create it. And
exactly.
The Bitcoin fam has got you, because you will find people that are going to help and support just by lending their time. All right, mate. Well, what's the best way for people to come and find you, watch the Satoshi Mystery, and will you be at any of the events throughout the rest of this year, so people can come up and speak to you directly?
So the best way to watch the Satoshi Mystery, if you're in Europe, is to go to arte.tv or on the Arte YouTube. Arte's YouTube. I think it's available on other platforms, across the world. I think it's available in Australia or New Zealand on a platform, but just type the Satoshi Mystery on Google and see what you find. And you can write me on Twitter. I think I'm always interested in answering any solicitation. And as for the events, I don't really know now. I don't think I would be able to make it to Surf on Bitcoin this year. Will you go?
Yes. Yep, we will go. It's a perfect excuse for us to go and have a family holiday. I have full buy-in from the family for that conference. From all the family. From my wife and 4 kids. I mean, my 2 youngest ones, they'll go to any conference anyway. But my wife's like, Biarritz is cool. It's only a 4-hour drive for us to get there. It's an amazing city, amazing food. there's a beach right next to the conference center. So it's like, I listened to 3 hours of talk, so I'm going to go sit on the beach, and I can get to geek out for a whole 2 days with my people. So it's
the perfect event.
That one's a definite for us.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but I hope that I will be able to see you in the near future in one of the next events. Anyway.
Yeah, let's hope so, man. Well, thank you for coming on. Thanks for everything that you're doing in the Bitcoin space. It's amazing. And
thank you for having me. It was really nice to chat with you about Bitcoin and movies and everything else.
You're welcome, mate. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.